That means it's on. All right, that's perfect. I heard the Discord, little boop boop sound. So that means that we are on the 28th episode of Sports Goofs. It is I, Francisco, with my good friend Andrew. I guess we're just a duo today, as our no more trio is. As Charles couldn't make it on this Thursday, one of our rare Thursday shows here.
We try to keep it just the Tuesdays, but what is that line? Like, life moves on you pretty fast from Ferris Bueller. Whatever it is.
Apparently, it's like the 38th anniversary of that movie or something like that.
It's hard to. I mean, it came out before I was born, obviously. So
right. Anyways, it's old. It's an old movie. It's a freaking old movie, but it's still fun to watch.
In relation to how old we are, I mean, it's not Gone with the Wind old or whatever.
Okay,
Hi, everybody.
So we've got one very important game today, Game 6 of the NBA Finals between the Raptors and the Warriors. That'll happen at 9 o'clock, around where we're going to be ending the show. And then there's no hockey anymore, that's for sure.
And we'll get to that in a little bit.
And there's baseball, because baseball always happens, and it's going to happen for the rest of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Significant games, actually, for baseball. Let's see we got some games that have already started now, since it's 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as I'm looking, maybe the Mets and the Cardinals, both teams are kind of middling teams, trying to with playoff hopes, but they can't really get things going. That seems to be their MO this season. You got the Rockies and the Padres. That's a pretty nice matchup out in the West. The Padres have slipped after having a nice start so far this season. They've got wild card hopes this season because nobody's catching up to the Dodgers at this point. The Braves have already won today, 6-5 against the Pirates. And the Minnesota Twins, who are doing really awesome this season, 10-5, even though they play in a terrible division. So who knows if they're really that good or not? Who knows? And those are just the significant games going on today, as far as I'm concerned. As far as Andrew is going to be and reconnection successful. That usually it sends out the stream again. So, hey, everybody.
Hello.
Not our fault. The internet's fault, okay? Not our fault this time. 28th episode, blah, 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 blah. Baseball, Raptors and Warriors and things like that. Rays are playing. We're all good. But let's get to the hockey, because playoff hockey is officially over.
In all of the North American leagues that we know of.
So we can talk about the big one, but let's start off with the little ones first. So we'll start off with the lowest of them, the ECHL. We have a champion out in
Newfoundland.
There you go. That's Andrew. You played a video for us beforehand.
Yes. I wanted to make sure that I pronounced it correctly. I pride myself on pronouncing things correctly whenever possible, and I very much have an affinity for Canada. I would love to go to Canada someday. So it is Newfoundland.
It's lovely this time of year.
Oh, I'm sure. It's certainly nicer than Florida. Now it's just getting hot. It's unbearable at times.
Yeah, it's awful.
So anyway, the Newfoundland Growlers.
It's super hot, or it's pouring and thundering outside.
Yeah, I drove back home from Orlando this past weekend.
That's right. You had your conference as well.
Yes, I did. That one I won't cover as much, since it has nothing to do with sports, unless you consider the adaptive sports sessions they had that I didn't go to.
That sounds pretty cool, though. Okay.
So I drove through one of those insane rainstorms. It is not fun.
Okay, so
the Newfoundland Growlers.
Newfoundland
Growlers.
Not Newfoundland.
Not Newfoundland.
Not Newfoundland.
It's Newfoundland.
Okay.
Newfoundland will apparently get you shot. So I don't want that. So Newfoundland
Okay.
Growlers,
So,
the affiliate of, I want to say Winnipeg. No, that would be Manitoba.
dude, I mean, there's not every NHL team has an ECHL affiliate.
Let's find out, shall we?
And actually, I'll look it up on screen. So, Newfoundland.
They are affiliated with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh. Oh, well, the Leafs actually have something good going on for them.
And the Marlies, obviously. The
That's
AHL
true.
team.
That's true. The Marlies actually did go to the playoffs as well.
That's true.
And were thankfully beaten by the Charlotte Checkers, who we'll be talking about as well. So, yeah, the Newfoundland Growlers.
Newfoundland.
Who have a really awesome logo if you see it right there on the screen. It's lovely. Yeah, it was actually... I think last year was one of the best logos voted by on sportslogos.net.
I wouldn't be surprised. That's a really nice logo.
And obviously, it's based on the actual dog.
The breed, the Newfoundland dog, which that is luckily they're friendly. Because if they weren't, they would just
the one on the logo looks menacing.
They are very nice, kind of like the El Paso Chihuahuas.
It also kind of that'd be the dog that'd be next to the Vegas Golden Knights mascot, because they look very similar as far as color scheme and like the black whatever. It looks very much like they wouldn't be out of place with an affiliation with the Golden Knights. Okay, so yeah, they defeated the Toledo Walleye.
Walleye, I believe, is a fish.
Yeah, it is a fish, but I was looking at you to see if we were pronouncing walleye correctly. And so the Toledo Walleye, that's their logo. Nice, very cheesy looking minor league logo, as we all love to see. And they are named after a fish. Go down the rabbit hole and actually look at the fish.
Why not?
Let's see what a walleye is. So, a walleye, also called a yellow pike, is a freshwater perciform fish native to most of Canada and to the northern United States, Toledo, Ohio. So that makes sense. The walleye is sometimes called the yellow walleye, which makes sense for their color scheme to distinguish it from the blue walleye. And it's funny because the Toledo Walleye logo is yellow and blue. So I guess you could, I don't know, I think it's mostly yellow. So let me go back to Toledo Walleye to see what color the fish. It's a yellow walleye. It's yellow, but the color scheme is yellow and blue. So it makes sense for it's actually a powder blue too. So a lot of baseball aficionados will like that.
Yeah.
So they defeated the Toledo Walleye. So that was the Kelly Cup Championship.
So that's for the ECHL.
So now the AHL, the American Hockey League, was between the Charlotte Checkers and the Chicago Wolves, and Charlotte won.
So a Carolinian team won.
So unfortunately, it wasn't the bunch of jerks, but it is their affiliate, the Charlotte Checkers. They have the same color scheme. There's their logo. It's a polar bear with the silhouettes of Charlotte, which I passed through on my way on my baseball road trip. And they defeated the Chicago Wolves. The Charlotte Checkers are obviously... Oh, wait, I forgot to see who's the affiliate of the Walleye, if they even have one. So before we get to that, Toledo Walleye, affiliate of the Detroit Red Wings and the Grand Rapids Griffins. Okay, so Charlotte Checkers, and now let's see the Chicago Wolves, which I do not believe they're the Chicago Blackhawks affiliate. I think the Blackhawks are like the Rockford Ice Hogs, but the Wolves are the affiliate of the Vegas Golden Knights, and are also affiliated with the Fort Wayne Comets of the ECHL. So that was the AHL, ECHL, but the big show, the big show was, of course, the Stanley Cup final.
And due to copyright reasons, we can't play the song we wanted to.
Right.
But if we could, we would be playing Gloria right now, because a glorious occasion happened last night at around 11 Eastern. The St. Louis Blues won the Stanley Cup. The first time in franchise history, they defeated and ended the possibility of a Boston area team winning another championship, much to pretty much everybody's
Delight.
delight.
Yeah, except for maybe BU if he ever pops on through here.
He should
BU,
be here.
Mr. Canada, but
He should be here.
okay.
But
Unless our chat isn't working, which might be a thing.
that's possible.
Yeah, but it I felt very concerned for the Blues after their performance in Game 6
So did
of
I.
that
And
series, just the way that Boston beat them.
not just that, but it was at home. It was in St. Louis. And they asked that during the post-game interview. They said, how did you bounce back? How did you recover? You lost very decently at home in St. Louis. And I think it was Pietrangelo, their captain,
Right.
basically said we just brushed it off.
And it's actually part of the narrative for this finals was that the road teams went 5-2 in this series. If you look at the way that it went down, so you see there in Game 1, Boston wins, but then Game 2, St. Louis, boom, road team win Game 2, and then we get to Game 3, and Boston wins 7-2, spanking the Blues. Then the Blues salvage one game out in St. Louis to make the series tied 2-2. So now it's 2-2 between the road team and the home team. But then St. Louis wins out in Boston in Game 5. Boston wins out in St. Louis. And then St. Louis goes into Boston in Game 7 and utterly just win. They just won the game. They just took it and won.
They won fair and square.
Yeah. So there's a lot of interesting things that happened in this series.
There were a lot of controversial calls during this whole postseason, honestly.
Yeah, I think it all started really. I mean, the biggest one was that power play the Sharks got against the Knights.
Right. But the missed hand pass in the Blues Sharks series.
Right. That awful headshot by the Bruins player on the Canes.
And then another headshot by a Blues player on a Bruins player.
Right.
In this series. Man, there were so many. The one where Ben Bishop was stunned by a shot.
Yeah, that was controversial as well. Whether they should have whistled the play dead or not.
This, I hope, I don't imagine anything is going to change, but I hope the NHL takes a close look at the rule book, because there were so many just totally egregious calls during this whole playoffs. It was, you might get like a bad call here or there, but there were so many in one playoffs. It was kind of a confluence of terribleness, I guess you could call it.
But this is the Blues. Congratulations to them. Lots of different stats and little factoids for this series. Obviously, the Blues were nobody really expected them to win the Cup this season, and this is their first ever after 52 years of existence. Their whole existence is just like this wild roller coaster of highest of highs and lowest of lows. Like, they start off their history with 3 straight Stanley Cup Finals appearances. Now, mind you, they were in the division with a bunch of other expansion teams, so somebody had to go to the Cup to face off against one of the original 6 teams. But they get there and they get swept each and every single time. So, and of course, their last appearance was in that 1970 series against the Boston Bruins. And you got that Bobby Orr's famous goal to finish it off in Game 4, which is a statue outside of the TD Garden out in Boston.
Which you saw recently.
Right. And then after that, the Blues history goes on. But then by the 80s, the Blues are in such deep turmoil that they almost moved the team to Saskatoon, of all places, and up in Saskatchewan in 1983. The NHL wanted to fold the team if they couldn't sell to, because they didn't want to sell to Saskatoon. If they couldn't find a new owner for the team, they were going to fold them and just disperse the players across the draft from that. Then they only had a handful of employees, and they could barely ice a team. They had to get basically all of their players from their minor league system just to get up and field a team in the NHL level. And they didn't even show up for the 1983 draft, and they forfeited all their picks. So the Blues farm system was utterly destroyed for one season after that. And then they had a string of 25 straight playoff appearances from 1980 until 2004. They had 25 straight, just like the Red Wings used to have. Of course, they didn't win the cup in any of them. Heck, they didn't even make it to the Stanley Cup final in any of those. Mm-hmm. They hadn't even made the Stanley Cup final since their first 3 seasons. And then they finally make it back, and lo and behold, they're facing off against the Bruins. And they were dead last in the NHL in January. They were the worst team in the league, and worse than the Ottawa Senators of all teams. Like, the Blues were down and out. No, you could not even fathom them doing this. They fired their head coach, and they bring in one of the assistant coaches. He takes the interim spot, Craig Berube, and it's kind of I don't know if you've heard the stories about him. He's just kind of this normal, chill dude. Mm-hmm. Like, he hasn't even taken the parking spot for the head coach, and he hasn't even taken the head coach's office.
That's really cool.
Since he took the job. Like, he's been with the rest of the assistant coaches since this started. Like, he's never considered himself, like, because of the interim title, he hasn't taken the head coaching position officially, even though probably now they're going to name him the head coach.
They would be crazy if they didn't.
They're going to name him the head coach, give him the contract and everything, and make it official, and he can finally take the office finally. So that's a pretty cool thing to see with that story. With Craig Berube, there was I think after they had lost one of their games, he went. I think after, I don't know, it was after game 1. No, because they were in Boston. I think it was after their loss in game 3, 7-2, mm-hmm. And he's out. Like, he's out with the. He goes out to a St. Louis Cardinals game. Mm-hmm. And, he probably did like a TV spot, whatever, all that type of stuff. And people were asking, like, I heard on radio, like, shouldn't he be like planning something? He's in the middle of the Stanley Cup Finals. The game's the next day, and I think Steve Goldstein was like, Panthers broadcaster is like, well, normally in hockey you do your morning skate and your practice in the early morning. Like, they're probably done by 11 o'clock. So. Right. He's got the rest of the day to go out and watch the Cardinals if he wants to. And at that point, the coaching is like really minuscule things that you're tweaking and stuff, and say, hey, don't do that, do that. Because at that point, you're at the Stanley Cup Finals, and I don't know how much more you can do, really. Then I don't know, what was your, like, what was the best part of the Blues winning for you?
Out
of, like, I know you love goaltenders, so like Jordan Bennington.
Oh, that was so much fun. Yeah, Mikey, I don't know what's going on with Discord. It's kind of funky. So we'll try to fix it by next time.
It might be the connection thing, but now we have a perfect connection, so it might have been that. So maybe it's...
Well, what it's doing is it's repeating the messages in the Discord channel on here.
Okay.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, our Discord channel is finally connected to our chat, so, right. So I mean, you can comment on there now, and we can still see it. Anyways,
so to answer your question,
Bennington,
what a beast!
Story, by the way. Yeah, he wasn't the starting goaltender to start the season.
He's a rookie. He is technically a rookie. He's 25, so he's an old rookie. He was drafted in 2011, I think, if I remember correctly. And then he's just been kind of stuck down in the minors all this time.
Yeah, he's been toiling there in the minors. The only way he could ever move up or even get a start is because somebody else got injured.
And it happened, and he was just ridiculous, just absolutely ridiculous. And let me go back really quick. I'm a big underdog fan, as I'm sure a lot of people.
And you're right, 2011, he was drafted 88th overall by the Blues.
I'm a big underdog fan. This St. Louis Blues team was in last place in this calendar year.
Right.
On January 2nd, they were in last place. And here they are. They are hoisting Lord Stanley's Cup.
They rattled off 30 victories for the rest of the regular season in the calendar year of 2019. 30 victories. That's 60 points.
That is ridiculous. I don't know if that's
finished with 99. So their first 60 points. So their first 39 points? No. Yeah, that's right. That's math. Gosh, I suck at math. Their first 39 points in probably well past the halfway point of the season. So they had less than half a season's worth of games to get the other 30 wins, 60 points.
That's just, I don't know if that's a record. I imagine it is. But more than that, I think this is the first time a team that was in last place at one point came back to win the Stanley Cup. I'm assuming.
I guess at a certain point in the season, I would think that's. I don't know how deep.
Well, at least,
but that's pretty deep. That's pretty deep.
At least that deep in the season, because January 2nd, the regular season ends in April now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that means they had to climb from the basement to at minimum 8th place.
They finished third in the Central Division.
Right.
So that's where they finished overall, and they defeated the the Jets.
They went through the Jets, then the Stars, then the Sharks,
right,
and then the Bruins. But just everything surrounding this team is just such a feel-good story. I mean, from Layla Anderson, who's this 11-year-old girl,
right, who
they've adopted kind of like an unofficial player on the team. She has a very rare disease that's very fatal. I looked it up. I don't remember the name of it, and if I did, I would be unable to pronounce it in any amount of time. But I think it said 15 people are known to have it, and generally the people who have it will die within 5 years. She's 11, so already she's beating the odds.
Right, and she got to see the Blues win the Stanley Cup.
She got to see the Blues win the Stanley Cup. And then,
I mean, there's Jay Bouwmeester. As a Panthers fan, he was drafted by the Panthers. He was part of that core of Panthers players that we thought would get us around the 2009 season, I would think. They had Nathan Horton, they had David Booth, they had Stephen Weiss, and Jay Bouwmeester, Tomas Vokoun in goal. That team missed the playoffs on a tiebreaker that forced the NHL to change their tiebreaker rules. And
tell me more about that. I don't remember that one.
Well, in the 2009 season, the Panthers were finished tied with the Montreal Canadiens for the last place in the East, the 8th seed in the East to make the playoffs. And I forgot what, because now it was based on regulation overtime wins and then points and that stuff. But I think the way they calculated the wins was different then. I think they just calculated shootout wins the same or something like that. So Montreal won out by a tiebreaker like that, and thus the Panthers missed out in the playoffs and extended their playoff drought at that point. And then after that, things kind of fell apart. Well, relatively speaking, for the Panthers.
Yeah.
Anyways, but they had Jay Bouwmeester, Tomas Vokoun, excellent goaltender. Peter DeBoer, that was his rookie head coach season. And, of course, he's been to 2 Stanley Cup finals already as a coach. But, yeah, Bouwmeester was a tenured Panther by that point, and he just had enough. Dale Talon came in, and he asked him point blank, do you want to be here? And he's like, no, I want to get out. Like, I want to leave because the Panthers are going to rebuild. And he knew it. And they traded him off to Calgary. He goes to the Flames. The Flames never really pan out. And then I think they traded him, I believe, to the Blues. And then I think he stayed. And he's been with the Blues since. I can actually look it up right now. So Jay Bouwmeester, and he's got a bunch of E's in his name.
Well, while you look him
so there he is. He's from Edmonton. So with the Blues and then the Flames. Career statistics. So let's take a look at this. So yeah, he was with the Flames from 2009, which is like I said when that happened, until he was traded midseason to the Blues, and then he's been with the Blues since. And he spent most of his career with the Blues now. So he's the longest. I don't know if he's the longest tenured Blue, but he might be. But he's played over 1,200 games in the NHL. So he's the longest tenured player on that roster.
Right.
So, and of course, you like seeing that, of course, being a Ray Bourque fan.
Yeah.
Seeing the guy who's been there for so long. He's been in the league since he debuted in 2002 with the Panthers. That was his NHL debut. So he's been in the league for 17 years now, and he finally got his cup. So who knows if he might just retire at this point. But he's been an excellent defenseman.
And what a way to go out on top, though.
Yeah.
But let me talk about another story about the Blues. There's a guy named Charles Glenn. He was the Blues national anthem singer for 19 years. And he has multiple sclerosis.
Mm-hmm.
And he announced in April that this would be his final season. And that's awesome that he was able to see a Stanley Cup victory from the Blues. Like I said, there are just so many wonderful stories surrounding this. The rookie that's been toiling in the minors for 8 seasons or so, 7-8 seasons. Mm-hmm. Layla Anderson, Charles Glenn.
You have a Vladimir Tarasenko, a superstar player, getting his Stanley Cup, his first one ever. You have Ryan O'Reilly, been toiling with the Buffalo Sabres.
Was it Pat Maroon? Is that his name?
So, we're looking at the roster.
Maroon.
Yeah.
He's the hometown boy. He's from St. Louis.
That's right.
He is from St. Louis.
I remember the photo or the video of his son crying after he scored that goal against the Stars.
Like, that is this. If this doesn't become a 30 for 30, I will be royally pissed off.
Or 30 for 30 mini or whatever.
Something like
that. It's ESPN. They don't cover hockey.
It deserves a whole 30 for 30. There's so many storylines in this team. It's amazing, and I'm glad that they won. So, even putting aside the fact that they beat the Bruins.
So Ryan O'Reilly, he won the Conn Smythe. Some people were debating maybe it should have been Binnington, but regardless, O'Reilly still deserved the award based on his play in the finals itself.
No doubt, right?
Okay, he scored the opening goal for the Blues in 4 straight games. 4 straight games that he scored the opening goal.
And he had a 6-game point streak.
Right. He's the 3rd player to ever do that. And I'm surprised there are even 2 other players that even did that in the Stanley Cup Finals. But hockey's weird. Binnington, 32 saves in Game 7, 32 out of 33. And even then, that last Boston goal was just kind of like after with 2 minutes left in the game. 901 save percentage for the finals, 9-11 for the playoffs itself, and I think he's the first rookie goaltender to win all 16 of the games of his Stanley Cup playoffs debut. He's been credited with all 16 wins. Okay, Allen was never their backup. Jake, well, he was the starter,
Right.
but their backup never. I don't even know if he played. I'm not even sure.
I think he may have played. Well, I know he got injured at some point. Bennington did.
Yeah, but Bennington's credited with all the wins for the
So I
the
imagine
playoffs.
that they had the lead when he left the game. I imagine.
But, yeah.
So I'm happy. I'm happy that this team won. I will say that it kind of softens the blow a little bit of my Tampa Bay Lightning getting eviscerated in the first round. I like a good story. I mean, I would have been happy if San Jose won, because I really hope that Joe Thornton gets one before he retires.
Yeah.
But if anyone else had to win it, it would be the St. Louis Blues, and I'm happy they won. But I will say this, though. I feel so bad for Zdeno Chara. What a beast.
Say what you will about the other Bruins players, but Chara is a treasure.
He is. And I also, I have fond feelings for Patrice Bergeron as well. He's a good player. He's a nice player. He does the game right. Screw Marchand.
Even though Bergeron probably shouldn't be voted for all those Selk trophies all the time because he was injured a ton of this season. He's a finalist for the award. I don't get how that happens, but but anyways, but he's a great player.
Yeah.
And screw Marchand.
He doesn't spear people in the nuts. Seriously.
He doesn't lick people.
He doesn't lick people.
He doesn't lick people either.
But Zdeno Chara, hockey players are tough, and I'm sure in the next couple of days, it's tradition that you're going to see this laundry list of injuries that players have. You know, oh, this guy played with broken ribs. Oh, he had a broken finger. I think I've heard like sprained ankle. It runs the
like the Blues will have their celebration this Saturday, and then after that, we're gonna get the rundown of what these guys were playing with for both sides,
right?
What they were covering up for the series.
It's kind of the tradition of the hockey NHL playoffs is you don't release the true extent of the injuries until after you exit the playoffs.
I think Bergeron in the 2015 final, was it 2015? No, 2013 final when they faced off against the Blackhawks. I think he had like a punctured lung or something like that he was playing with. Like, these guys play with things that you should not be out there. Your body should not take it, but when you have all that equipment on and the ice and all that stuff and the adrenaline, I guess somehow those guys find a way.
I think it was last year, Andrei Vasilevsky, the Lightning goalie, I think he had a pulled groin or something, which in the grand scheme of injuries to have as a goalie, that is one you don't want.
Exactly. That's the worst one, actually.
I don't think any athlete wants to have a pulled groin. But goalie, like if you look at what Bennington did last night, where he went across the crease and made that pad
that save is going to be on repeat.
That is St. Louis's. Remember last year with the Washington Capitals, Braden Holtby dove across and stopped the puck with his paddle. Or
Mike Richter for the Rangers in '94 against the Devils or whatever,
or Tim Thomas back in 2011.
Right.
I get nightmares thinking about this moment, but he stopped a puck that would have tied the game between the Lightning and Bruins in I think Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Alas, he stopped it. They won the game, and they would go on to win the Stanley Cup against Roberto Luongo, who was someone else I would like to see win a Stanley Cup.
Right, and the Canucks.
And
that was the last Game 7, actually, before this one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we hadn't had a Game 7 until 2011. And let's see, the last... And this is the parody of the NHL. So we've had since... let's see, since... Who was the last team? I mean, you had the Kings in 2014. the Blackhawks in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
2016, well, you had the Penguins twice in a row. And then you've had the Capitals and now the Blues. And I mean, the NHL, if you look, there haven't been many repeat champions. So other than the Blackhawks and the Penguins and before that, the Red Wings. But there's been mostly just single championships.
Right.
And for teams that have never won or haven't won in forever.
I think the last repeat was the Red Wings back in 97, 98.
Well, no, it was the Penguins. They won 2 in a row.
Did they?
2016, 2017. They beat the Sharks and the Predators.
Right. NHL is by far the league with the most parity. There is, I mean, in no other league would you imagine that an 8th seed would go ahead and defeat the President's Trophy winner or league leader in points in 4 games. You don't see that happening much in any other league. NHL doesn't matter. Seeding goes out the window.
The Blues itself are a testament to just freaking get in the playoffs, and anything can happen. You know.
And they were lucky. They were solar hot. We're talking hundreds of thousands of degrees Fahrenheit hot. What was it? You said 30 wins?
30 wins since the calendar, since 2019 started.
You have hot streaks going in. They always say it's good to go into the playoffs on a hot streak. That is
the hottest of streaks.
Supernova.
That is the streak to end all streaks, you know.
Absolutely.
Okay, so and now the NHL season is over. The NHL draft is actually
in a couple of weeks.
Actually, yeah, June 21st through 22nd out in Vancouver.
So the question is, who's going to go first? It's Jack Hughes, and then there's another player I think from Finland.
A lot of imagine this. And I was reading on was it St. Louis Game Time, which is St. Louis Blues SB Nation site, because I gotta plug my SB Nation peeps out there. If y'all don't know, former for the Panthers. Just reading their summary of this whole season for their Stanley Cup championship article.
Right.
And it's like Blues fans were thinking about drafting Hughes at the beginning of this calendar year. And now they're celebrating a Stanley Cup championship. Man.
That would be like, I don't know. It's like a team's thinking, we're going to get Zion Williamson at the beginning of this year. Who's the worst team in the NBA this year?
Well, the worst?
Or one of the worst.
Let's say the New York Knicks.
Let's say the New York Knicks. They thought, we're going to get Zion Williamson, no doubt.
Yeah, imagine the Knicks, they're, I don't know, 10 and 30. 10 and 31 at the midpoint. Actually, the Heat actually did this too, and they went 41 and 41. No, actually, more extreme scenario. Let's say the Knicks were 10 and 21. Okay, 11 games under. Okay, we're gonna tank and we're gonna get this guy, and then they rattle off 40 victories.
They go supernova.
Yeah, they rattle off 40 victories in the calendar year and make the playoffs, and then proceed to defeat the Toronto Raptors and the Milwaukee Bucks and the Philadelphia 76ers and defeat the Golden State Warriors in the finals, in Game 7.
And then one more thing I'll add about Jordan Binnington before we move on, because we've talked about this for a while, but hey, this is the culmination of
hockey. We had a playoff hockey extravaganza to start this.
This is an abridged version of the end, a bookend.
Bookend. We did the freaking KHL, okay? We almost did the Swedish Elite League. I don't know, the Finnish Elite League. Heck, we did college hockey and ECHL, and now the big guys, the NHL.
There's one stat about Jordan Binnington that just absolutely just blew my mind. He was, goodness, where was it? I had the stat and I lost it. I think Jordan Binnington was 14-2-0 after a loss.
That's right. Season. That's right. The Blues never really went on any long losing streaks. They always bounced back.
And the 2 losses were in the playoffs. So he was, I think he was 8-0 in the regular season after a loss. And then he had two game losing streaks.
Yeah.
In this playoffs.
That's
ridiculous.
That's probably why when they lost 7-2 after Game 3 at home, Craig Berube went to the Cardinals game and was just like, yeah, no big deal. No big deal here.
You got to understand, 14-2, that is absurd. That is absurd. There's so much historic about this team. I could go on for a lot longer about this, but we have other things to get to. But
yeah,
congratulations to the St. Louis Blues.
Go Blues, play Gloria all you want from here on out.
Oh, and by the way, again, another shout out to Urinating Tree because he's awesome.
Yeah, he posted a video.
He posted a congrats video today. That sums up, if you want to
Blues history.
That sums up the Blues history in about 5 minutes. He does great congratulations videos. He does great videos in general.
I'm waiting for the congratulations video for the Bruins.
I don't know if he'll make one.
He should, because it's Boston.
Yeah.
And we all need to have one extra thing to feel good about ourselves.
So go see that Urinating Tree. Maybe he'll find out about us someday. But yeah, that was a great video.
We should reply to his tweets more often.
That's true. That'll kind of give you a sense of what the Blues have gone through over the past 52 years.
Okay.
Should we do the NBA?
Well, yeah. Let's do one of our smaller segments here. Sure. I'm gonna go to Let's Haul Y'all. That's my look into the National Baseball Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame, Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, or the Hockey Hall of Fame. There's a lot of Hall of Famers out there, and these are guys to be revered and to be worshipped. And so there's a lot of them, but we have no idea who the heck they are. So I just picked one. Basically, I went to let me get to the search window here so I can post it on the screen. All right, so I went to the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame because we got basketball on tonight. I thought it would be appropriate for that. And I looked up Artis Gilmore. And it's funny because he's got a connection to our great state of Florida here.
Really?
And holy crap, he was born the same day I was born. That's awesome.
Literally the same day?
Yes. Well, he's not as old as me, not the actual, but the same date.
The same date.
The same date. Well, not the date exactly. Well, regardless, whatever, it's there.
The same day.
The same day. Yeah, exactly. All right. So Artis Gilmore, he's from Chipley, Florida. I have no idea where the heck that is, but I'm assuming it's North Florida because
what is it called? Chipley?
Chipley, Chip, and then Lee, Ley.
Chipley, Florida is 102 miles northeast of Pensacola.
All right,
that is
northeast of Pensacola.
For
102? Are you sure about that? That's very far.
Yeah, it's
Well, it's up there in North Florida. I would
yeah,
say.
It's in the Panhandle.
Okay, so because he went to high school in Alabama, so
which is right next to the Panhandle is right under it connects to Alabama.
Yeah. So he's 69 years old, which is very nice.
Nice.
And he went to college. He went to Gardner-Webb from 67 to 69, and then he transferred to Jacksonville. So Jacksonville University, who are the
Dolphins.
Yay. So they are the Dolphins, and he actually had a pretty significant NCAA career to start off before we get to his NBA career. So he was drafted in by the Chicago Bulls in 1971 and the Kentucky Colonels as well, because at that time he had the NBA and the American Basketball Association, the ABA, who were competing. But prior to that, he went to Jacksonville and he led them to the 1970 Final Four and championship game that year. They lost, unfortunately, or else we would have Jacksonville as a basketball powerhouse. Who knows? He has an NCAA record, 22.7 rebounds per game career average. That is the record.
What?
22 rebounds per game.
Are you
Per
serious?
game. Like, that's basically almost every shot he's grabbing it as a defensive rebound, and probably some offensive rebounds as well. Like that, the man he's 7'2". The man is a freaking he's a light pole. He's just a giant light pole. Okay, he's a sentient light pole. All right. So he was drafted by the Bulls and the Colonels. He decided, because the NBA and ABA were competing, he probably was getting paid more with the ABA. He goes off to Kentucky to play for the Colonels. Fact, the Colonels were one of the most successful ABA franchises, but unfortunately, they weren't part of the NBA-ABA merger. Okay, so the Kentucky Colonels were out, and every player that weren't I forgot who the 4 teams were that did go into the NBA. I know it was like the San Antonio Spurs were one of them, but anyways, I think the Denver Nuggets were another one. The Indiana Pacers were the other one, and I can't remember the other team that used to be ABA friend. Oh, the Nets. The New Jersey Nets, who are the Brooklyn Nets now. They were the New York Nets at that time.
Yep, Nuggets, Pacers, Nets, and Spurs.
Man, I'm good. Okay.
You are to the NBA as I am to MLB and possibly NHL.
And college football.
And definitely college football.
So, dispersal draft, funny enough, he gets redrafted by the Chicago Bulls. Goes off to Chicago, plays there a bunch of seasons, goes off to San Antonio, ABA team, formerly, bunch of seasons, one season back to Chicago, goes to Boston, finishes his career out in Boston. Actually, finishes his career for some team out in Italy. He won the ABA championship in 1975. Most valuable player in 72, 75 MVP for the playoffs, 6-time All-Star, just a bunch of accolades. He never won an NBA championship, unfortunately. And that's it. And he went back to Jacksonville to become the color analyst for the team's radio broadcast. That's afterwards. Nice. So, and he has an NBA record, .599 career field goal percentage.
599.
.599 career field goal percentage. So 59% from the field. That's how he's making most of his shots.
That's pretty
That's
good.
An NBA record as well.
I don't think even Steph Curry has that average.
No, when you shoot a ton like Steph Curry, you're gonna miss a ton.
Yeah.
No, but this guy, when he shot, more likely than not, it was going in.
That's basically 60%.
So that's Artis Gilmore, man. He's
very nice.
He's part of the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame, I think, because he went to high school there and in Carver, it says here. And yeah, man, there he is.
Very nice.
Artis Gilmore. So very nice to hear about him. I guess we can segue to the NBA from here on out.
I don't know. We have 3 minutes till the halfway point. Do you just want to get our?
Yeah, that's right.
Let's just get it out of the way.
I mean, we can. I mean, I still have my trip that I have to talk about as well, but we can save that.
Can you get it over in 3 minutes?
No, I cannot. We'll save it to the end.
All right, so let's do our favorite segment.
A word from our non-sponsors, people. Gosh, I have so many that, especially over the course of my trip, that I really don't know which one to choose. So if you have one, you can start out and I can pick one out of my mind.
Once again, I don't put much thought into these. Some of them just stick out to me. I have a good one.
Go ahead.
The Hyatt Regency Orlando.
It makes sense, especially after your trip.
So, the Family Cafe, which was the conference I went to this past weekend, it was being held in the Hyatt Regency Hotel, which is right off. It's literally steps from the Orange County Convention Center off of I Drive. That is, aside from the fact that it's just a very beautiful hotel, the staff there are just so nice. It's unbelievable how nice they are. The conference has been there for 3 years now. It'll be its fourth next year, which is unheard of for this conference, where it would stay at a hotel for 2 years and it would shift somewhere else. They did it a while at the Coronado Springs in Disney. They did it at a Rosen Hotel, I think, for a little bit. They just kind of jumped back and forth between hotels, and then they found this one, and it seems to have stuck because they're going on.
I'll tell you this, man. The Hyatt has some pretty good hotels. I stayed at the one in Atlanta. That was oof. So I just by hearing that, I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a nice place to go to.
It is, and like I said, more than just the niceness of the hotel itself. I was fortunate enough that I was able to stay there, thankfully, because I gave 2 seminars that weekend, so it would have been a real pain in the butt to have to drive from another hotel, go into their parking garage, and then, walk to wherever I needed to go. I could just kind of chill out, relax, and then just get dressed, and then just walk down. Which, by the way, I forgot how much it hurts my feet to walk conventions. When you're walking in dress shoes...
that sucks.
For thousands of steps.
Yeah, no, I get you.
And I specifically was told, you're going to be doing a lot of walking. You should get these dress shoes that have kind of like memory foam in them.
Yeah.
They do very little to help. Very little.
They're still dress shoes. They're still dress shoes in the end.
Dress shoes. I had to dunk my feet in cold water in the bathtub just to make the swelling go down.
Yeah.
But getting back to the main point, the people there are just so nice, and sometimes, I'll be honest, it's sometimes a little bit difficult to interact with people who have various types of disabilities. Sometimes they can be very angry or not cooperative. They can be demanding. It can be difficult to interact with people with disabilities sometimes. Having been around them basically my whole life, you know how to work with them, but for people that don't have as much experience with them, it can be a challenge. But they've stepped up to the task every time. Everyone there is so nice. They're so willing to help. I can't say enough about the Hyatt Regency in Orlando. I don't know. Oh, you pulled it up. Nice. And there's a really, I could go on for
I'm looking at it now. Holy crap. This is in the middle of the city too, right? At least.
What do you define middle of the city?
I would, let's see. Knowing Orlando.
I consider middle of the city to be downtown Orlando.
Right. Like
it is not.
Okay, so not near Arena, nothing like that.
No, it's closer to Universal, actually.
Okay.
So it's on the southeast side of town.
Okay, so if you're going to Universal, that's probably it's a nice place to stay,
right?
Because it's pretty nearby.
It's part of what we refer to sort of as the Golden Triangle.
Mm-hmm.
There's a plot of land between Disney World,
mm-hmm.
Universal Studios,
mm-hmm.
and SeaWorld. That's kind of anything that's in there is kind of the high profile, hotels and whatnot, because you can get to any one of them fairly
and nice
quickly.
Rooms too. Look at that. Nice rooms.
And that's actually a realistic picture.
Yeah.
Not one that they kind of made up or whatever. That's a little bit big. That's one of their suites.
Yeah. So there's their
Maybe.
gym. I'm
it's
sure.
it's a nice hotel.
Yeah.
So it's not in the heart of town. It's a bit off of town, but it's right next to the highway I-4. Some of the sub arteries like the 528.
I'm assuming this is probably like for a wedding or whatever, but I'm pretty sure they use this for the conference.
Right.
These rooms.
It has a huge expo hall that takes the entire banquet area.
Yeah, this is massive. It's got a walkway across the river here. Sheesh.
And there's a walkway. It's so close to the Orange County Convention Center.
Yeah. Wow. I think this is probably that hall you were talking about, because you got 3 screens here. Dear Lord, this is massive.
Mm-hmm. I highly recommend it is a bit pricey. I'll fully admit. I was lucky. They do kind of a lottery for people to stay there. I was lucky enough that we were able to go there. Although even then, they have discounted rates for the family cafe. But it is a fairly expensive hotel. But if you have the money and you're in Orlando, go there. It is a lovely hotel. The people are even lovelier. It is a fantastic place. I can't recommend it highly enough. So Hyatt Regency Orlando is my non-sponsor of the week, and promo code Lovely People.
Isn't that a song? No, that's Shiny Happy People. No, that's a song. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's called Happy People. It was in Donkey Konga too. That's the only reason I know that.
So actually, it's Lovely Hotel, Lovelier People. That's my promo code.
Okay. So I think
hopefully that gave you enough time to come up with something.
I think I got a wild card for mine actually. Ooh. Because I was thinking like, okay, so I had my trip, and I'll talk about it later, but because it'll probably take the time that Charles normally uses his wrestling
right.
news. So I was thinking, okay, it could be a hotel because I stayed at 4 nice hotels, especially the one in Tampa, the Barrymore. Mm-hmm. Very nice hotel. Wish me and Doug had stayed there for the bar. I saw the hotel we stayed at actually for the bar. I actually texted him a picture of it, and he's like, oh, sweet memories.
Didn't you guys go to like a Pollo after the bar?
We went. No, well, that was a Pollo Tropical in I don't know where in West Florida, along between Tampa and Naples. I forgot where, but I know that Pollo Tropical was Doug's most favorite part of the whole trip, really. He couldn't stop talking about it. He's like, they actually cooked the chicken here.
I remember we went to a Marlins game just after you took the bar, and that was all he could talk about was that pollo.
And I didn't eat at the Pollo Tropical because I got a pub sub.
Just if anyone here is in Florida, all pub subs are now $6 whole pub subs this week.
Yep.
I am investing in a chicken tender sub tomorrow.
I actually follow on Twitter the our Publix chicken tenders.
So do I.
Subs on sale this week account, and that's all they do. But they actually announced that hey, every single sub is on sale.
It's a beautiful thing. Or actually, even somewhere in the southeast, it's not just Florida anymore, but. Pub subs, man, they're the greatest thing.
So, yeah.
Sorry, that's a side.
That was a side one, but the Barrymore Hotel was really nice. But my wild card is not a hotel. It's actually a food. It's Munchies. Okay, I don't know if you've heard of it.
Munchies 420?
No, not that Munchies. No. So. We drove the whole trip, me and my dad. It's a road trip, all right? From West Palm Beach was our starting point, to Tampa, to Atlanta, to DC, to Pennsylvania. We actually went to Pennsylvania.
You went to Pennsylvania?
Yeah, we went to Amish country to see my aunt.
Why didn't you guys go to a Phillies or Pirates?
Because the Phillies weren't there,
or Pirates.
Pittsburgh was way too far.
Oh.
And then we stopped in Richmond, Virginia for one night, and then we made it all the way back to West Palm Beach.
In one night?
Not in one night. No, we stayed in one night in Richmond, and then from that morning from Richmond to West Palm.
You made it from Richmond to West Palm in one day?
Straight from 95, 12 hours.
Hopefully you guys swapped seats at some point.
Yes, we did. We took a lot of rest stops. We ate and all that stuff, and that's why this wild card came to me. I was like, whoa, and it's Munchies. I guess they call them chips, but it's.
Oh, and if anyone doesn't know what I was talking about when I said Munchies 420, there's a place over in Sarasota where they make these absolutely artery clogging sandwiches. It was featured on Man vs. Food.
Yeah.
Look it up. I've never been there. I have dreams of going there. But I go there in case, I don't know. I would say go there at your own risk. Some of the stuff is ridiculous.
So
I've never heard of Munchies.
Okay, so Munchies is a brand from an American company, Frito-Lay's. I got the Wikipedia up here, but it's a snack mix chip or product. So the one that we got and the one that you can find at your local convenience stores and gas stations and supermarkets, we got the cheese fix, the classic one. Okay, it's a mix of nacho cheese Doritos, Cheetos, Harvest Cheddar Sun Chips, and Roll Gold pretzels all into one. Okay. And it's formerly labeled classic, and it's labeled original in Canada. So that's the version that we got. I didn't even know they have other versions here. They got the Flamin' Hot, which is really destructive to my innards. I mean, look at this. Flamin' Hot Cheetos, salsa flavored Doritos. Dear Lord. Baja Picante. Flavored Sun Chips. I didn't even know they made that variety, and Rolled Gold pretzels, because I don't know how you make a pretzel really hot, so I guess they couldn't figure it out either. Actually, every single one of these has Rolled Gold pretzels with no change to them whatsoever. They have a barbecue version, which is only Canadian. They have a reduced fat version, which is also only Canadian, because I guess Americans don't want to lose weight, and they have a kids mix.
Canadians, man.
So the reason it's my wild card is because my dad found it. So we actually had a cooler, and we bought a bunch of snacks for the road, all right? Mm-hmm. So the cooler was filled with our drinks, our sodas, our waters, and all that stuff. And, of course, my Perriers. I couldn't buy Topo Chico because I didn't have a bottle opener. And so...
Just use your shirt. That's
I wasn't going to make my hand bleed during the trip. So... my dad found the Munchies, and we opened it up, and we were like, my dad's like, this is the greatest thing ever. Like, he loved it, and he loved it so much, and I think he loved it more is because he found it and he picked it out. So that was what we got. And so every time we stopped at we especially stopped at Wawa. I almost picked Wawa because I love Wawa now.
I love Wawa.
But
Orlando was the entry point of the Wawa invasion in Florida.
Right. I think there's 2 in Miami-Dade County right now, so I'm hoping there will be more.
And there's a few further north. I think there's a couple in Broward and a couple in Palm Beach.
Yeah, there's especially one in West Palm Beach because it's pretty darn close to my house over there, my parents' house and my sister's house.
There's actually a Wawa near my house down here.
Oh, dear Lord. Okay.
Anyway.
So the Munchies were a godsend. My dad, we stopped at a Walmart when we were heading out from Atlanta to DC, and we went to a Walmart somewhere around there in Georgia, and my dad's like looking around like, I can't find the chips. Where are the Munchies? We're looking around. It sounds like my dad's a stoner, but he's not. When I say that, and we're looking around, I'm like, I found him, Dad. He's like, oh, thank God. Okay, we can go now. Like, that's specifically everything we look for. We stopped at a Sheetz. Somewhere in Virginia as well. Sheetz is kind of like a competitor to Wawa. Mm-hmm. The high-end gas station / convenience stores that are out there right now. And they also had the Munchies. So yeah, Munchies. Thank you so much for feeding us throughout our trip.
Munchies, the official sponsor of the Aborta road trip.
Right. and not very good on my waistline, but but gosh darn it, really good. So promo code is my dad's not a stoner. Okay, heading back now. So we've got other topics. There's NBA stuff, but that's normie talk.
Yeah.
This is a show for not for normies, according to my podcast. Oh yeah, that's another announcement I wanted to make. So we are officially part of Apple Podcasts, formerly what's going to be formerly iTunes.
Rest in peace.
So you can find us, and I've to put it on the bottom portion of our screen there, but you can find us on Apple Podcasts. Just go on the podcast app on your iPhone or iPad, and I think on your iTunes app on your computer, and just search for Sports Goofs, and we're there. And once we're done with this episode, we'll upload it, and we'll have the newest episode. You can listen to us on the go if you're not already listening to us right now. And if you are an Android user, you're not out of luck, because we do have a SoundCloud account. Just search for Sports Goofs again, or put in soundcloud.com/sportsgoofs, and you'll be listening to the same stuff that people on Apple will be listening to. So you're not down and out. Okay, we don't charge $1,000 for a stand like Apple does. I don't know if you saw that.
$9.99.
$999.99 we do not charge for a stand. I don't know if you saw that photo of the guy. He had like a Mac Pro, but he didn't buy the stand, he was using like a coat hanger or something. And it actually worked. And so I guess people were like commenting on like Twitter and stuff, or on Reddit. It was on Reddit I saw, and they're like, "Wait a minute! The narrative here isn't that he's using a coat hanger for for a stand for his Mac Pro. It's the fact that he went into a cafe with a giant Mac Pro, and nobody questioned him about that. Like, that's really the crime here." All right, so I want to talk about baseball, to be honest. Actually, no, let's talk about college sports, because interesting stuff is happening there.
Yes. Shall we start with the fun stuff?
Let's start with college baseball.
Let's do it.
Because I'm kind of in a baseball mood right now. Because basketball's going to happen, and hopefully the Raptors win today. But we'll mention that later. And I have some stuff to say, but not too much about the Raptors.
All right, so
Warriors.
We're going to college baseball, folks. We are in the end game, as it were, of the Division I college baseball season. We are at the College World Series. The College World Series, for anyone who doesn't know, is the culmination of the Division I NCAA baseball season. It's the end of what began as a 64-team tournament at the beginning of this month, and now we're down to the final 8. The 8 of whom are Arkansas, and there are 2 brackets of 4 teams. We've got in bracket 1, Arkansas, Florida State, Michigan, and Texas Tech. And then over in bracket 2, we've got Auburn, Louisville, Mississippi State, and Vanderbilt. Now, just a little backstory on some of these teams. I'll take a couple of seconds. Arkansas, this is their ninth College World Series appearance. They actually made it to the final last year. And that was a brutal ending. So how the College World Series goes, it begins with a round robin tournament where if you lose 2 games, you're eliminated, and then the top team out of that bracket will face the top team out of the other bracket, where it's the best 2 out of 3. Arkansas and Oregon State were the finalists. Arkansas had won game 1, and they were an out away from winning it. Do you remember this?
But I've heard of it because my brother-in-law's from Arkansas, and his family cheers for the Razorbacks.
Gotcha. So they were out away. This guy, an Oregon State player, hits a lazy pop-up, and somehow 3 Arkansas players missed it. It fell right in between them like a laser-guided missile. A couple of pitches later, there was a runner on third, and the score was 3-2. Oregon State gets the tying run. They would go on to win the game 5-3, and then they would proceed to win the next game the day later. So Arkansas was inches away from winning. Instead, is on the opposite end of it the next night. That is terrible luck.
Yeah, it is.
Next up is your Florida State Seminoles.
Yes. Very significant for us because it's the final season for Mike Martin, our long-time manager.
He is both the best and the worst college baseball manager of all time, depending on how you look at it.
Right.
He's been coaching them for 40 years.
Right.
He's won 40 games in every one of his 40 seasons.
Right.
He's been to, I can't even keep track of how many tournaments. And then
pretty much every season. I think every season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the 22nd time that they've been to the College World Series.
Right.
They have never won the College World Series.
22nd time's the charm, baby.
And they've made it to the finals 3 times. 1970, 1986, and 1999. So 2 of those times were under Mike Martin. He started in 1980.
And it's been a while.
So it's been 20 years since you've been to the college, since you've been
to the final
of the College World Series.
Right, the final series. Yeah, this is huge. We're hoping, especially my sister, because funny enough, my sister went to Florida State, as did I, and my brother-in-law went to Mississippi State, and I think there is a scenario where they could meet in the final series.
Well, they're in different brackets.
Yeah, so there is a scenario that possibly Florida State could face off against Mississippi State. And I would assume that my brother-in-law and my sister might take some days off and have a visit to Omaha, Nebraska, and tell me how that is.
Oh, and that's the other thing. Prior to this point, all the games were played at schools or other locations. I think the one exception was Oklahoma State. They're based out of Stillwater, but they play their regional games out in Oklahoma City, which is like an hour or 2 away from Stillwater.
I guess just to have the bigger venue.
Right. Yeah, so all the games are held at the, what is it called now? The TD Ameritrade Park.
Yeah, it's
in Omaha.
Yeah, like a freaking new stadium and everything that they built.
It used to be Johnny Rosenblatt Stadium for
ever
since the 50s, and then they changed probably like 10 years ago, maybe.
I don't know if it was 10 years ago, but I think within this decade.
Right. It was getting old, but the sunsets you got at that facility were second to none. I had never been there, but you see the pictures, and they were iconic.
The new stadium is basically a minor league park on steroids right now.
I think they do host a minor league team.
Maybe. I would assume so, but I don't think they use the entire capacity because most minor league stadiums probably seat about, I would say, between 5 to, at the higher end, probably like 12,000 people.
You know, I take that
and
back.
This one...
I take that back.
Yeah.
They only have one tenant right now.
Okay.
And it's the Creighton Blue Jays. It's a college team.
Okay, yeah. So they don't host a team there. But they But I think that what's the capacity, like 20,000 or something like that?
It's 24,505,
which
but can expand to 35,000,
which is massive for a minor league baseball team.
Right.
So even if they did host one, they wouldn't be taking up 24,000 seats.
Not at all.
And I'm assuming Creighton wouldn't be using every single one of the seats there. I'm sure they play at reduced capacity. So Omaha, so that's Florida State, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt.
2011 was when it opened.
Yeah
2011.
Vanderbilt, which I actually did want to mention one of their players because he had a 19 strikeout no-hitter against Michigan during the tournament. Kumar Rocker, which is a great baseball name. A great baseball last name, okay? Rocker, okay? Gosh, that is
Was it against Michigan?
Yeah, it was against Michigan.
How are they still in the...
No, not... It was during the tournament, during the run-up to the College World Series.
But how did... Wait. Whatever.
Well, anyways, he had a 19 strikeout no-hitter, which is insane. He was, he was 8 batters away from having a perfect game consisting of all strikeouts.
Right.
Which is crazy for any level of baseball. Little League. Little League players. That would be insane. That would be on ESPN if it was a Little League player or something. So...
No, it was against Duke, I think.
Oh, well, even better. Screw Duke.
The one in the Super Regional?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was against Duke.
Okay, so even better against Duke. Screw Duke.
Although that was a crazy Super Regional.
Also, and by the way, Michigan for hiring Juwan Howard. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
Former Heat assistant coach. I don't know if you saw his press conference.
He was very emotional.
He cried.
He used to play. He was part of the Fab Five.
The Fab Five, yeah.
At Michigan back in the early 90s.
Yeah, the Fab Five.
Notorious for, I forget which player did the timeout, even though the team...
Chris Webber.
Chris Webber,
yeah. So, very... I'm really glad he's a great... he was a great player for for the Heat as far as the end, as far as being kind of like a player/coach. With some stability there. Then he became an official assistant coach for the Heat all this time. And then there were some NBA jobs he was going for, but then Michigan came calling and he went back home. So that was a very nice thing to see him going back and feeling so strongly about being with the Wolverines.
Yeah.
And hopefully he'll have better success than a certain football coach over there. Hasn't really won anything over there, so, and they might actually go back to the NFL. Okay.
So, the other teams, just quickly rattling it off. Michigan, this is their 7th College World Series appearance. They've won twice in 53 and 62. Texas Tech, this is their 3rd appearance. Their highest finish is was 5th in 2016 and 2018. Auburn, this is their 4th appearance, and their highest rank was 4th in 1967. Louisville, this is their 4th. They've placed in 5th twice in 2007 and 2017. Mississippi State, this is their 10th. They placed 2nd back in 2013, losing to UCLA, who was eliminated shockingly they were the number 1 overall seed this year. They were eliminated by Michigan. And then Vanderbilt, this is their 3rd appearance, and they were the champions back in 2014.
Very SEC heavy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to get to the fun college stuff?
Oh,
not that college baseball isn't fun.
Yeah, but it's that's the rundown, and it's going to be this starting this weekend,
Yep.
June 15th on Saturday, with the opening game. Saturday and Sunday with the opening games, and ESPN has all of the games covered from start to finish, and we get to the final game. If there is a game 3, it'll be on at the end of the month on June 26th on Wednesday. So that's
I'm looking forward to it. I love watching the College World Series every year. I still have EA Sports release their first college baseball game back in 2006 because they lost the MLB license.
Okay. All right.
I love that game. Very fun.
That's it.
So, the other, who is that? That's Auburn. Now on to Fulmer Cup.
Yes.
Let's do the Fulmer Cup.
And we are not the official podcast / show for the Fulmer Cup. Disclaimer that we always do as always.
Right. So, things were very busy over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, because even then, like after Memorial Day, we did a show, but there was nothing that happened. Everybody had a good time.
Right.
And apparently people were having a really good time after that, according to you. So lay it on me.
All right. And one of these, I can't remember which, they were just brought in now after an event in March, but still valid. Forget which one it is. So, and he weren't on the Air Force fullback that got booted off the team. I'm not sure. I just heard about it today for the first time. I'm sure we're going to look into it a bit deeper.
Yikes. Booted off the team, and I'm sure that'll affect him as far as his Air Forciness is concerned as well, if that is even a word.
I think it was something of an honor violation, honor code violation.
Oh, okay. So it's already affecting his Air Forciness.
Right. I don't know. I haven't looked into it that much. I just heard it in passing.
I mean, that's not really an arrest if it's an honor code thing, right?
No, but so I guess it wouldn't count.
Yeah.
But again, I haven't read much into it.
Okay.
First up was Nebraska running back Maurice Washington was arrested for possession of drug paraphernalia.
Okay. That's, I guess, par for the course, I would say, for a lot of football players.
Now, it wasn't anything serious. It was just residue of marijuana in a pipe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So nothing.
That's what I was thinking. That's where I immediately went to.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I know some people disagree, but I think it's pretty standard knowledge that marijuana is anywhere close in the class of cocaine, meth, or whatever.
And as the years will go on, we'll see, and as more states start legalizing, and maybe we'll finally get it at a federal level of some sort.
Right.
But we're not a stoner podcast. If anybody wants to know that as well,
Right.
I have no opinions on either side, either way, to be honest.
Now, here's the fun one. Texas A&M defensive back Derek Tucker was charged with assault.
Okay, so assault was serious, I would say.
He got into a fight.
Now you're pausing between each thing, so who he fought is probably what's funny about this, right? He fought like a mascot or a clown or something like that.
Not who he fought, although that would be great, but it was what the fight was about.
Oh, okay, all right.
He and the guy got into an argument over tacos.
It might have been whether hard shells or soft shells are better than the other one, Maybe he heard our last show in which I expounded the virtues of the hard shell over the soft shell after thinking about it in great detail. And he was like, you know what? Francisco's right. And the other guy was like, no, I actually believe that soft shells are better because I am a soft person.
That would be fantastic.
And I called the hard shell the Damian Lillard of tacos, and soft shells as the Russell Westbrooks of tacos.
Man, that would be funny if that was indeed the argument. So next up is UTEP.
Before we can move on, that's all the details as far. It was over tacos and no other details whatsoever.
I'm not sure. I mean,
like, did the guy take his taco, or did the guy spit on his taco,
let me do a quick look.
Or did the guy spill his taco,
or
did the guy he was asking for the mild sauce, and the guy kind of tricked him and put the spicy in there, and he was like, ah.
Oh, and funny enough, the SI article, which is the headline is Texas A&M defensive back reportedly arrested over taco drama.
Drama.
I'd like the writer is Kedrice. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Kedrice Rollins said, "I'd like to think, or hard shell or soft shell. I'd like to think that is what started this beef."
Is that what he said?
Yes. Involving Texas A&M defensive back Derek Tucker.
Exactly. It is a reasonable debate. Now, it was at a Taco Bell?
It doesn't say where.
Oh, okay.
but apparently they had a, quote, disagreement over tacos when they got into a mutual altercation.
A mutual altercation. So I guess kind of like hockey fights. They both dropped their gloves or
Right.
maybe dropped their tacos and proceeded to fight.
The fight began after the two started arguing over tacos. Yeah,
I really hope someone does a follow up.
I'm not. I don't see anything about what.
I
the
hope there's
argument
like
was
a taco gate.
about.
You
Taco
know,
Gate.
like it goes all the way to the top. Like they find some sort of huge NCAA scandal going on at was it Texas A&M?
TAMU, yeah, Texas A&M.
Okay, so Jimbo Fisher, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, I think Seminoles fans would like that if Jimbo Fisher had a huge scandal going on and had something to do with tacos.
Yeah,
Like
would
that
be
was the
great.
catalyst of it. Talk about a serious argument. Oh gosh.
Next up is UTEP.
Okay. Oh gosh, good old El Paso.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Your
What kind of trouble can you get into El Paso, man? That's the nicest city in America.
Well, quarterback Kai Loxley, he transferred in from somewhere. I forget.
This year, like he's
year.
gonna play for them
Right.
this year after transfer.
Well, who
Okay,
knows?
so he's a bad egg that came into El Paso to corrupt it. Then, sheesh.
He was arrested on, depending on what terminology, either DUI or DWI. So he was drunk.
Yeah. Okay. So he's under or within. He was under the influence of something.
Right. Well, it was alcohol,
Well,
I think.
okay. Most likely then. It was most likely alcohol.
Possession of marijuana under 2 ounces.
Okay.
Unlawful carrying of a weapon.
Okay.
And this is a direct quote from the statute. This is the actual name of the offense. Terroristic threats.
Whoa. Dang.
Now, the second that everyone heard that, everyone thought, oh man, he threatened to blow something up. No, it's not that serious. Allegedly, he said that he had a handgun with a full magazine and he was going to empty it into a crowd.
So his college football career is over?
Supposedly.
I would assume.
Innocent until proven guilty.
That is true. So everything's alleged for now.
Right, but when it comes to Fulmer Cup, if you're arrested, you get the points. Doesn't matter what the adjudication is.
Fulmer Cup. Yep.
We
Gotta
don't
love
care
it.
about innocent or guilty.
Yeah.
Um,
Everything's not made up, and the points
do
kind-
matter,
yeah.
sort of.
It's the opposite of whose line is it anyway.
Right. Another fun fact, his father used to be the offensive coordinator at Alabama, and he is now the head coach at the University of Maryland for the Terrapins.
Oh, okay.
I made a joke that they are the Terror Pins now.
Oh boy. Oh boy. But yeah, he's a bad egg that came
He's a
into
bad
El
egg.
Paso to corrupt it. We got to kick him out.
So
It's gonna
next
ruin
up,
my beautiful city.
Yeah. Next up, another Nebraska player. Nebraska's had a good streak going.
I mean, they're not winning in actual football, so might as well win this, right?
Right. Wide receiver Wandale Robinson.
Should have never left UCF, dude. Just saying.
UCF, just objectively, they're a very low penalized team. We don't get that many offenses, and when they are, they're usually pretty low.
It's Disney World. What are you going to get arrested for? You don't want to go to Disney jail.
Right. Disney jail is listening to It's a Small World on repeat nonstop for hours.
Playing Kingdom Hearts 3 nonstop for hours. Apparently, it
Allegedly.
was a very well, to many people, it was a disappointing experience after so many years.
Played it.
I don't play it either. I think Charles has. I think he's enjoying it, though.
I still need to play Kingdom Hearts 1, though.
I haven't played any. Well, I didn't have a PS2. I didn't own one.
I started playing it at my friend's house back when it was first released, back in 2001 or so.
Yeah, back then, I really wanted it. I owned a GameCube, so, you know.
But yeah, I'd like to finish it up. Speaking of games, by the way, everyone is very excited about the introduction of the 2 new, well, 3 sort of, characters of Smash. You've got
well, we've got the hero from Dragon Quest,
right,
which I never played a Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior game.
and then Banjo-Kazooie.
Yes, that was what people went insane for.
Right.
I didn't own Banjo-Kazooie when I had an N64, but of course everybody's played it at some point who owned an N64, and I mean,
people, look on YouTube for some of the reactions.
Yeah, go on Twitter, especially from the official Nintendo store in New York City. They went absolutely insane. Wow.
And Nintendo kind of sort of did a bait and switch. They pulled out the Duck Hunt, Dog and Duck.
And it's the second time they've done it with this type of trailer. They did it with King K. Rool.
Now this one.
And now this one, which was great. And it's actually really significant because he's actually the property of a competitor, in a sense, with a competing console with Microsoft.
So just some backstory. Back in the 90s, there was a British company called Rare.
And it's still a company,
but technically a company.
They're a shell of their old self.
Not like they used to be.
They were legendary.
I played one game from them on the SNES, Super Nintendo. It was Ken Griffey Jr.'s Winning Run. That was a fun game. But they've produced many others.
Yeah, the Donkey Kong Country series, Banjo.
Oh, I did play Donkey Kong. That's right.
Banjo-Kazooie, Jet Force Gemini, Perfect Dark, GoldenEye. They developed that.
I played so many other games that I totally forgot.
I mean, ever since they got sold to Microsoft, they haven't really had many hits.
Right.
I think the last like really original thing was like Viva Pinata or whatever that series, and then they've been making Kinect games. And,
right.
You know, they're making Battletoads again, which is different.
So anyway, like you said, we're going off into a different rabbit hole for a second.
Yeah, huge tangents. We love that.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to talk about Nebraska.
Yeah.
Other than, freaking the Cornhuskers, even though they're freaking, people love the Cornhuskers over there because,
as anyone will tell you, there's nothing to do in Nebraska, in Lincoln, except for UNL.
I think, I think when they're playing their games, their home games there,
it's, I think, the second or third largest city
in the
Nebraska,
state. Yeah, at that point. Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. I think the only ones larger are Lincoln itself and Omaha.
Yeah. Okay. So any more? Arrests?
Right, yes. Sorry. And just a side note, someone figured out that there was a kind of an Easter egg when it came to the announcement message for Banjo-Kazooie, because it says Banjo-Kazooie are raring to go.
Yeah, and this is rare.
Rare. So
yeah,
someone
raring.
Thought that was like, funny.
And it was funny also, the composer of the music for the N64 games, Grant Kirkhope, and he actually did Donkey Kong games as well. Like, people were asking him before E3 happened, like, hey, do you know anything about a new Banjo or him and Smash Brothers, all that sort of stuff? And he's like, don't hold your breath for Banjo and Smash because, he's owned by Microsoft, another company, a competitor. Well, not another company, but another competitor.
Right.
And all that stuff. And then, like, the announcement happens, and then his Twitter account, he has, like, himself in front of his computer, and he turns around with, like, a Banjo-Kazooie plush toy, and he's like, Banjo-Kazooie, we're home. Because they used to be owned by Nintendo.
Right.
And so people were like, you got us. And he's like, yeah, he couldn't disclose that he was doing it. But he's doing the music for the Smash game right now. So it all came full circle finally for
it's great.
for Banjo.
Everyone's excited.
Yeah.
All right, going back to arrests.
Yes.
Another UTEP player.
Okay, is he a transfer or is this actually like a guy that was on the team?
I don't know.
If that's the case, then it's if it's the other thing and it's a transfer, then we all know it's just bad eggs who just want to, who hear about El Paso being such a great place and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna go there, but they, can't shake off their demons.
No, he came straight from high school.
Oh no.
His name is...
Gonna have to kick him off the team then.
Maybe.
And no, not just off the team, out of the city. Okay, take that crap to Houston or whatever.
It's kind of, I don't want to say it's a running gag because Francisco truly believes that El Paso is the greatest city in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So Tiano Tialavea, defensive lineman, in the same incident involving Kai Locksley.
In a name contest with Tua Tagovailoa right now.
I love some of the names in college sports. They're really out there. But it just goes to show the diversity of college sports.
It's basically the Key and Peele segment.
Right. So same incident as what got Kai Locksley arrested. Less serious though. It was just disorderly conduct and public intoxication.
Okay. All right.
And then we'll wrap it up with Appalachian State wide receiver Corey Sutton, arrested, or was it cited? Marijuana possession.
Okay. So, all in all, stuff that I guess par for the course for any college football team.
More or less. I mean,
except for the taco thing.
That's brilliant. I love it.
Alrighty. So, that's that for our Fulmer Cup segment.
We've actually covered quite a lot today.
Yeah, no, we're I actually wanted to specifically do this show doing more of our other segments. That's why I don't want to talk about the Raptors right now because everybody's talking about them. Mm-hmm. That's for normies. Okay? All right, this is the 4chan. Oh. Okay, no, we're not the 4chan of sports talk shows.
Although the Tales from 4chan series is really fun from
Bryn Daniel. Yeah, even though he doesn't do them very often, it's actually a real treat when he actually does do it, and he hasn't done one in like months, so hopefully he does a new one.
I made a promise to our friend Freddie. He has something called Fred Rank.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, and I remember his. He was probably one of the few people that did an in-depth look at the AAF when it was still alive. Mm-hmm. Okay.
He has created Fred Rank for the CFL season.
That's right. I think it's opening today, right? Or tomorrow, or this weekend.
He told me when it was opening.
Yeah, the CFL is opening.
Tomorrow.
Okay, it is tomorrow. Yeah.
It's the
Hamilton
Rough Riders and no, sorry.
Bulldogs. No, not the Tiger Cats. No, right?
It's the
the Bulldogs are the freaking AHL team.
It's the Saskatchewan Rough
Riders,
and
right?
The Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. Yeah.
So they start today. He's introduced. I'll actually shoot the link over to you. He has a blog spot about all this. But he just wanted me to briefly discuss the upcoming CFL season as well as go over his rankings. Sending that over to you right now.
Well, I don't have Facebook open, so I don't think I'll be able to. Well, actually, can I search for it? Is it searchable? Is it a WordPress account or?
Well, if you look at what is it? fredrank.blogspot.com.
Yay, that's what I will search
It'll be
for.
the first thing coming up.
Spot.com. Yay. There it is.
Jeopardy Sports last night posted, this poor unfortunate city saw their sports teams only win 2 titles in a calendar year. Pray for them. What is Boston?
Oh, gosh. Yeah. And that guy in Jeopardy finally lost too.
I know. What a streak, though. I think it was. He came close to earning the most money, right?
Right.
Pretty close.
Yeah, I think was it Ken Jennings was the other guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he got it. Holzhauer, I think James Holzhauer. He got it in less than half.
Adios, Mikey.
Oh, see you, Mikey.
Enjoy the game and go Raptors.
Fred Rank, best rank. Peace out, Mikey. Enjoy.
All right, so I see the Fred Rank here for the Canadian Football League.
Correctamundo.
So
let's
click that.
I talked to him a little bit last night about it. The average team, the average is 20 points. And then everything from there. So the most average team is the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Okay, so they're right in the middle.
Right.
So they could win or they could lose.
Exactly. The best team are the Calgary Stampeders, and the worst are the Montreal Alouettes.
Aren't they the defending champions?
The Stampeders?
Yeah.
Could be.
I think they are, as far as I remember.
Let's see. CFL. Oh, game is going on right now. Saskatchewan is up 13-10 with 12:50 left in the third quarter.
So today is the opener.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, he said tomorrow yesterday.
Oh, never mind. So it is today.
Most recent champion were the Stampeders
last
year.
I remember. Yeah. I follow Canadian things.
Good. I have actually a friend or two that are in the CFL.
Oh, yeah.
Really cool.
Nice.
I made a couple of friends on the football team when I was at UCF. So his preseason rankings, he has the Stampeders as the best, the Alouettes as the worst. So another thing, he gives a 3-point advantage for teams that are playing at home.
Makes sense.
So his projected standings, he thinks, over in the East Division. So
this is his ranking as of now, and it could change over the course of the season.
Right.
So this are his predictions for this. He's not saying that Calgary will repeat.
No.
From here.
Although, he believes that the best record is going to go to. He thinks the Calgary Stampeders are going to go undefeated.
Yeah, because he's saying Stampeders are projected to win all, so they're going to go undefeated. He says,
right,
and then win their games and eventually the Grey Cup, which is of course the championship trophy for the CFL.
Right. So apparently, it's never happened in the CFL that a team has gone undefeated, but his ranking says that they're favored in all games.
Mm-hmm. So they could be the Miami Dolphins, 1972 Dolphins of CFL.
And then
proceed to have 40 more years of heartache.
Yes.
I'm hoping, once again, once the NFL season starts, we'll have our Dolphins are terrible segment returning.
I'm sure we will. And then he briefly concludes with the playoff bracket according to his standings. He thinks the teams that are going to get in are going to be the BC Lions, British Columbia.
Play out in Vancouver.
Yep. The Toronto Argonauts, who play in Toronto.
Yeah, and they actually play in a smaller than regulation size CFL field.
Do they?
Because they share their field.
Oh, with the soccer team.
Yeah, with the Toronto
FC.
Yeah, Toronto FC. They used to play out in the Rogers Center with the Blue Jays.
Right.
But the Blue Jays kicked them out because they're going to renovate the whole place.
Right. Then you've got the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Edmonton Eskimos. Those are kind of the play-in games, the play-in series or something. I don't know their playoff format. He projects that Toronto is going to advance and play Hamilton in the.
It's kind of like the
round.
NFL's actually.
Is it?
Yeah, they have a wild card round, and then the top seeds have a bye week, and then they'll face off against whoever wins the wild card round, and then from there you'll have an actual championship.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense. Let's see. Over in the second bracket, you're going to have. He has Edmonton advancing to play Calgary. Then both of those teams, the 2-1 seeds, so it's going to be Hamilton and Calgary in the championship. And Fred Rank has Calgary repeating. So that would be...
So according to all the statistics, all the projections, and his personal point system, it's looking like the Stampeders will be repeat or most likely to repeat as champions,
right?
Barring any sort of serious injuries to players and or meteor striking the stadium.
So you never know. It's the beginning of a long season, but Fred Rank has it's a very stout system. As Mikey said, Fred Rank is best rank, and it's true. It's considering that, as far as I know, he's not tied.
Maybe we should bet on CFL games based on this. Like, we'll have the inside edge on everybody.
Maybe we'll be like the guy from St. Louis.
Not put in much money. Just put in like $5.
Well, hey, look at the guy from St. Louis. He bet $400 on St. Louis, and he made $100,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's so I'm excited about the CFL season. Right now this is the only football going on, unless you count soccer,
which I don't.
Which you don't.
Okay, but it is the only North American football that's happening right now.
Correct.
Okay, and it's something that especially gamblers will look to because you just have baseball after the NBA Finals concludes, maybe by this weekend or maybe by tonight, hopefully. So go Raptors once again, go Raptors. And by the way, Kevin Durant. I
feel bad for the guy.
We're very sorry. We still hope you'll sponsor our show in the future. I'm just saying, we love you. We're actually real fans of you.
Yeah.
We think the media sucks and they've been treating you horribly. I got
to give props to him for trying to come back.
Yeah.
But that's an unfortunate.
And I guess this will be our basketball talk for this as well, because
I guess so.
There was, of course, the big stink about how Raptors fans reacted once he got injured, and that some people started cheering when that happened.
Cool. That's not cool.
It's not cool. And of course, there's people arguing on both sides. And by both sides, not saying that you should cheer for a player to get injured, but I think Channing Crowder, a radio host, former NFL and college football player down here, he was saying that we're making it too much of a big deal out of it because people had a natural reaction to a situation being fans, especially given the stakes that were going on, and that as fans we can actually tend to be selfish. And he's a former player, so he sees it from a player perspective, so he's kind of neutral in a sense. But as a fan, he's like, you just saw and he was doing fantastic in the game at that point. You just saw basically one of the biggest reasons that you might not have won that night, and they didn't win. They screwed it up at the end. Go down, and now your team's chances of winning just shot through the roof a little bit because of it. So why should we condemn them for that? And I kind of agree with them with that, because as a fan, I've thought internally, especially, and I think a lot of fans won't admit this, internally they do think this, like, hey, that guy goes down, we just have a better shot of winning. Like,
I think every
fan, take him out, hey, let's say from a Miami Dolphins perspective, he actually mentioned it when because he was playing for the Dolphins when they won their division in 2008. The biggest reason why they won the division that season was because Tom Brady went out for the whole season that year. Even though the Patriots still went 11-5 in that season, but the Dolphins, I mean, who knows? The Patriots might have won every game again that year had Brady played. But because of that, Dolphins had a shot of making the playoffs, and they did. And he thought when it happened, he's like, "Holy crap, we got action! we have a shot of actually doing something this year."
I think every fan has felt that at one point or another. But as you hear all the time, it's one thing to think something; it's another thing to act on it.
Right.
And I see where the fans are coming from, because that's a big blow to them. But,
human decency,
man. I mean, to cheer somebody's injury, You just got to hold that in.
Right. I mean, to be fair, the Raptors fans, once they kind of realized the severity of the situation, started like changing their tone, you know.
I mean, that absolves them a bit.
And they're Canadian.
And they're Canadian.
Come on now. Of course they're going to be polite about it afterwards. Except for hockey. Canadians are pretty a-holes when it comes to hockey.
But I mean, they kind of absolved themselves a bit. They kind of made themselves look a bit better by actually cheering or applauding him as he went off.
Hopefully